The mess hall of the Celestial Convergence fell into immediate silence when Susan walked through the sliding doors. It wasn't her presence that caused the sudden hush. Humans had been part of the Galactic Coalition for 3 years now. It was what followed behind her. 3 Zerakthan cubs padded into the room, their obsidian claws clicking against the metal floor. Each stood nearly 4 feet tall, covered in midnight black scales that shimmered with an oil-slick iridescence under the fluorescent lights. Their eyes, 6 on each triangular head, glowed with that predatory amber that had terrorized civilizations across 17 star systems. Commander Thel Zara, a Xanthari diplomat with chromatophore skin that immediately flushed deep purple with alarm, dropped his nutrition cube. Around the hall, various species scrambled backward, some diving under tables, others pressing themselves against walls. The Zarakthans were apex predators from a death world even harsher than Earth. And everyone in the galaxy knew one simple rule: you didn't bring Zerakthan cubs anywhere near civilians. Everyone except Susan, apparently. "Morning, everyone," she called cheerfully, grabbing a tray and moving toward the food dispensers. The 3 cubs followed in perfect formation, their movements synchronized, their heads swiveling in unison to track every entity in the room. Lucas, who had been sitting with a group of human engineers, rose slowly from his seat. As Susan's liaison partner, he'd known she was working on something unconventional in the xenobiology wing. But this was beyond unconventional. This was insane. "Susan," he said carefully, approaching her while keeping his movements smooth and non-threatening. More for the benefit of the panicking aliens than the cubs. "Would you like to explain why you've brought 3 of the galaxy's most dangerous predators into a room full of potential prey?" Susan loaded her tray with what appeared to be scrambled eggs or their synthetic equivalent, and smiled. "They're not dangerous, Lucas. They're my team." "Your team?" Commander Thelzara's voice cracked with disbelief, his translator struggling to convey his horror. "Dr. Chen, those creatures have a bite force capable of crushing duralloy. Their species has a documented history of being completely misunderstood," Susan interrupted, turning to face the crowd. The cubs immediately arranged themselves around her legs in a protective triangle, their tails intertwining. "Yes, adult Zeraktans are formidable hunters. But these 3, Ash, Ember, and Void, were orphaned when their colony ship suffered a catastrophic failure near Earth's system. They've been with me for 6 months." Lucas studied the cubs more carefully now. He'd read the reports about the Zerakthan vessel, a refugee ship fleeing the Krell invasion of their homeworld. 37 adults, 14 cubs. Only these 3 had survived in the escape pod that Earth's patrol had recovered. 6 months, Lucas repeated. "You've been raising them alone?" "Not raising," Susan corrected, sitting down at an empty table. The cubs immediately settled around her feet, their bodies relaxed but alert, cooperating with. "There's a difference." She pulled out a small device from her pocket and tapped it. A holographic display materialized above the table, showing complex biochemical diagrams and behavioral charts. The Coalition's xenopsychologists got it wrong. Zerakthans aren't solitary apex predators who only cooperate during mating season. They're pack hunters who form intense social bonds. The adults we've encountered were traumatized survivors fighting for resources in a post-invasion galaxy. These cubs? They're showing us who Zerakthans really are. Lucas pulled up a chair, his scientific curiosity overriding his caution. Around the mess hall, other braver souls began to creep closer, though most maintained a healthy distance. "They imprinted on you?" "More than that. We've developed a communication system." Susan reached down and made a series of clicking sounds with her tongue, while tapping her fingers in a complex rhythm against her thigh. Immediately, the cub named Ash stood and placed its head in her lap, a gesture that seemed almost dog-like in its affection. "The Zerakthan communication matrix is primarily tactile and auditory," Susan explained, scratching behind what Lucas assumed were the equivalent of ears. "They have a sophisticated language based on vibration patterns and sonic frequencies. Ember here," she gestured to the smallest cub, "has been teaching me their names for different star constellations. Did you know they navigate by stellar cartography imprinted in their genetic memory?" Commander Thelzara had edged closer, his chromatophores shifting to a cautious orange. "This is unprecedented. If what you're saying is true, Dr. Chen, this could change everything we understand about the Zerakthan species." "It should," Susan said firmly. Because here's what I've learned. Zarakthans bond for life. These three know every heartbeat, every breath of mine. They can sense my emotional state through pheromones and micro-expressions. When I'm stressed, they calm me. When I'm focused, they guard my space. When I'm in danger... She trailed off, and Lucas saw something flicker in her eyes. A memory, perhaps. What happened? He asked quietly. Susan's hand stilled on Ash's head. Last month, there was an accident in the lab. A coolant leak. I was trapped behind a sealed door, nitrogen flooding the room. I had maybe 2 minutes before I'd pass out. She looked down at the three cubs. Void ripped through a reinforced bulkhead. Amber used her body heat to keep me warm while Ash somehow, and I still don't know how, manipulated the door controls to override the safety lock. The mess hall was completely silent now. Every being present was listening, captivated. They saved my life, Susan said simply, not because I trained them or controlled them. Because they chose to. Because that's what teams do. Lucas felt something shift in his understanding. He'd spent years studying alien species, always from behind barriers and safety protocols, always treating them as subjects to be observed. Susan had done something different. She'd treated them as equals. The Coalition needs to see this, he said. If Zarakthans can form these kinds of bonds, if they're capable of this level of cooperation, then maybe we can stop seeing them as monsters, Susan finished. Maybe we can offer sanctuary to the survivors instead of quarantining them. Maybe we can help them rebuild. Commander Thelzara's chromatophores had shifted to a thoughtful blue. The council would never approve this based on one human's testimony, Susan smiled. Then it's good I've been documenting everything. 3,000 hours of footage, comprehensive behavioral studies, neurological scans showing mirror neuron activity consistent with empathy and social bonding. She stood, her breakfast forgotten. The galaxy decided what Zarakthans were based on fear and war. I'm offering evidence of what they could be, given a chance. Lucas watched as Susan walked toward the exit, the three cubs moving with her like shadows. At the doorway, she paused and turned back. Humanity didn't get where we are by being the strongest or the fastest, she said. We got here by being willing to see potential where others saw threat. By building teams across differences. These three? She gestured to her cubs. They're not pets. They're not weapons. They're my colleagues. My friends, my team. And they're proof that maybe, just maybe, the galaxy has room for second chances. As the doors slid closed behind them, Lucas realized something profound. Humanity's greatest contribution to the Galactic Coalition might not be their technology or their resilience. It might be their stubborn, irrational, beautiful insistence on finding family in the unlikeliest places, even if that family had obsidian claws and glowing amber eyes.